Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am here, Stephen Dumeng. This is The Mixer with Stephen Dumeng, episode 6. I need two hands for that one. And we are in New York, and funny enough, we're always filming in New York, but let's just jump right in because I'm kind of disappointed. I saw something online as someone who's a huge ambassador. Oh man, that's a good word. Ambassador of the sport, especially pro MMA being legalized in New York State. It crushed me to read recently that, I believe it was actually like a day ago or so, posted on either MMA Mania, great site, or MMA Junkie, one or the other, that unfortunately we will not be seeing pro MMA in 2014 in New York. And that is, it's just crushing because the Senate, I believe for the fifth year in a row, I believe, gave the thumbs up, and it's crazy that already, UFC and not that the UFC is giving up, but these politicians are already writing it off for 2014, so we're gonna have to wait yet another year, and that's just heartbreaking, flat out. And I don't know, I really don't know what we're gonna have to do in order to get the sport legalized in New York, but in any case, I'll be there supporting the fight, and I know there will be plenty of fighters that will be there standing. Like I said, we have Matt Serra, Chris Weidman, Jean Vellante, Aljamain Sterling, Ryan LaFleury, Dennis Bermudez, a bunch of different, those are all UFC fighters, and then we have a who's who of amateur fighters ready to tell it like it is, and I think they could choose me considering I'm a pretty good speaker. And I know some good words like ambassador, but we should basically hopefully unite, and hopefully we'll be able to sway them in 2015, because it's unfortunate that we will not be seeing pro MMA at MSG anytime soon. But I will say I did get to see some MMA this past weekend, and I want to give a huge shout out, huge thank you to my friends at New York Fight Exchange for putting on New York Fight Exchange 3 Unstoppable. Great event, top to bottom, a bunch of fights. There's about 14 fights, and I was pleasantly surprised at the caliber of fighters that they had. I want to give a big shout out to my friends, Adrian Chmielewski. I got him. That was for you, Adrian. Kudos. Definitely check out his interviews that we done together. Actually, I have a few that are posted on. He's a fantastic fighter, definitely an awesome prospect. I'm going to give a nice shout out to Bernie Cano as well. You're awesome. I can't wait to see you again in the cage, and hopefully you recover soon, brother. Also, I want to give another shout out, but this to a UFC fighter. Definitely check out the interview I had with Dennis Bermudez. It was actually really awesome. He talks about his fight with Clay Guida. He talks about rankings, his feelings on the Ultimate Fighter. It was quick, short, and to the point, and it was very enjoyable. About 5 minutes. Definitely check it out. I want to give a huge shout out to all those guys. Again, thank you so much, Dennis. Best of luck in your fight against Clay Guida, which is coming up momentarily. You have your hands full, but I have faith. You're looking really good, and I think you'll definitely be surprising a lot of people come July. I believe your fight's set up. So best of luck to you and everyone else. Thank you again for New York Fight Exchange. Let's jump from the amateurs to the pros. We had UFC, as always, actually, funny enough, was this past weekend themselves, bringing us UFC Fight Night, Benson Henderson versus Rustam Khabilov. And what a fight that was. I gave the first round to Rustam. He came out very aggressive, pretty strong. I think Henderson wasn't really ready, but Henderson showed why he is championship material heading into the second, third, and ultimately fourth round, where he landed a beautiful combination, rocked Khabilov, and then finished him literally like sunk in a rear naked. It felt like it was a part of his combo. It was like 3-hit combo. And it was perfect. He literally landed a combo, and his arm was just ready, right for the taking, and he got the neck. 1, 2, 3, not a count, but he tapped out. And you saw Khabilov go down, and finally, The Rock, finally, we saw Benson Henderson, after 10 fights in the UFC, God bless him, great fighter, I'm always a fan, finally scored the finish, and he takes it home with a rear naked choke victory. Good for you, and it's 2 straight since his loss to Anthony Pettis, and great fight. I enjoyed that. Speaking of other fights that were on that card, speaking of highway robberies, we had Diego Sanchez doing his not his fault, obviously. His best highway robbery of poor Ross Pearson, who got completely gypped. I'm never really one to sit around and moan about decisions, but that was ludicrous. I cannot believe. Like, there's, certain fights you can maybe be like, oh, he kind of eked that one out, and he kind of, you can maybe justify a case where such and such fighter did make it and came out with the victory. Diego Sanchez, great fight. He's turned into much of a brawler these days. Always entertaining fighter. I don't care what anyone says. But no way in heck did he actually take the victory. There's no way. I had that shutout, 30-27, all for Ross Pearson. So hopefully, I know they're campaigning. Pearson is campaigning for not only an overturning of that bout, or at least a look at it from the officials and the athletic commissions. They are looking to campaign for a rematch in a 5-round fight, which I would love to see. I think the first fight was fantastic. And like I said, Sanchez is a brawler. He's always game. I wish he would adapt more MMA skill like he had done earlier in his career. Now he seems to just stand and bang, and that's definitely going to get you far with the fans, and Uncle Dana's going to love that. But at the end of the day, it's not going to construe very many wins unless you're in Albuquerque, New Mexico. But in any case, hopefully we see those guys in action again. We have UFC 174 upcoming weekend let me just say, I am a proud flyweight myself, so it's great to see guys like Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, and Ali Bagatinov taking the pay-per-view headline. That is awesome. We never see the 125ers. This is the first time, actually, they're headlining. And it's a fairly new division, don't get me wrong. But this is their very first time they're headlining. And we are seeing Mighty Mouse continue his streak. I believe he's looking for a 6th win in a row against Ali Bagatinov, who's on a 3-fight win streak in the UFC. And also he's on an 11-fight winning streak in total. And has looked fantastic in the UFC. So kudos to him. That should be an awesome main event. As someone who's, again, is a fellow flyweight, props to Demetrius Johnson, props to Ali. I can't wait to see those guys scrap. A lot of people, for some reason, like to call these guys midgets and stuff like that. Listen, let me tell you, at the end of the day, these guys are packing punches. Look at Demetrius Johnson's last fight. Laid out Benavidez cold. And then, not to mention, kudos to him for also becoming more of a finisher these days. He also submitted Duran Moraga in another title defense. And I think he's going to finish Ali again. He's going to continue his finishing streak against Ali. I think he's going to end up taking out Ali by strikes. I'm going to go with the 3rd round. Ali's a pretty durable guy, but I think he's going to crumble before the championship rounds, and what should be an entertaining headliner. We also have, in the co-main event, we have Rory McDonald looking to stay ripe, as always, and fashionably savvy with his fashion sense, against Tyrone, the chosen one, Woodley. And what should be, I'm hoping, not a Rory McDonald point fest, but hopefully we'll see Tyrone dig in and use his much coveted knockout power that we've seen him display throughout his career against guys like Jay Haran and Josh Koscheck more recently. And I think he's going to knock Rory's head off. Rory is a great technical striker. I think he's definitely better on the feet in terms of how technical he is. When it comes down to solid power, I think Tyrone's got him overmatched. I think we're going to see them go back and forth, and I think we'll see Tyrone continue his streak, even though a lot of people discredit his win over Carlos Condit. A win's a win at the end of the day, and I think he's going to look to legitimize himself in the welterweight rankings. Going to give it to Woodley. I think it's going to be a great scrap, though. I don't think we'll see a Rory dance fest. I mean, he's actually an entertaining fighter when he wants to be, but there's been snoozers he's put us through, and hopefully we don't see that happen again. Also on the UFC 174 card, we're going to see Andrei Arlovski making his long overdue return to the UFC against a fellow glass chin, Brendan Schaub, in what should be an instant knockout highlight reel, considering both men, and we've seen Shab get laid out by guys like Roy Nelson. He was reaching for flies in the stars against Ben Rothwell. You've seen Andrei Arlovsky on the receiving end of some brutal knockouts, as Fedor, Sergey Karantanov, both laid him out pretty bad. But in any case, I think one of these guys is going to go down, and I hope it's not Andrei Arlovsky. I mean, I think Andrei's going to end up retiring in the UFC. I think it's going to be his last run. He is older at this point. I believe he's 35. And we'll see Shab either stand and bang or he's going to try and take him down. And Arlovsky, don't sleep on the guy. For what it's worth, the only hiccup he's had was against Anthony Johnson. And we all know what Anthony Johnson just recently did to Phil Davis. So, you know, that's not a loss to write off. Other than that, he's actually looked fantastic since his 4-fight skid in Strikeforce way back when. And also, he's looking to cement his return against Brendan Schaub, and I think he's going to do it. Schaub, he's riding off his win with Matt Mitrione. He put him to sleep very recently, and that was enjoyable. He put me head to sleep, so good for Schaub. But I don't think we're going to see him continue a run, and I think he's going to be reaching for more stars in this bout. I think we'll see Arlovsky come away with a W. Hopefully we do. I love Arlovsky. He's a fantastic fighter, and hopefully he gets some redemption. I don't think he's going to make a title run, unfortunately, but hopefully he gets some redemption. You got to realize, don't sleep on him. He was the last guy to finish Roy Nelson, and actually the only guy to finish Roy Nelson. And he's had fantastic fights. I mean, aside from his Roy Nelson finish, which is one of a kind in itself, he was looking phenomenal in his UFC run early on, and I think he'll be able to be very suitably winning this fight, and I think we'll see him, and hopefully a good UFC 174 card, considering UFC 174's undercard is pretty, I don't really care. UFC 174's main card should be really fun. Definitely tune in. That'll be on pay-per-view. I will be watching this Saturday night. Hopefully you guys will be too. Don't hesitate to leave your predictions, qualms, concerns. Speaking of UFC 174, UFC 175. Actually, I need to catch my breath. I need some Vegas fuel, but unfortunately I have none, so it's a good product, so check it out. But UFC 175 just lost. Literally, I was on my way on the train here, and I just read, thank you, MMAJunkie.com. Chael Sonnen has been removed from UFC 175, which it just was never meant to be. Vitor Belfort, between Belfort, Vanderlei, and Sonnen, all of them either having some relation to drug or PEDs or performance-enhancing drugs. It's just ridiculous with these guys. You know, it stings for the fans because not only, people were looking originally to Vanderlei Silva, Chael Sonnen bout, which they built a whole Ultimate Fighter season over. Not only are they not going to fight, you're not even going to see him fight Vitor Belfort either. And it's frustrating because from a business standpoint, if I was the Fertittas and Dana, I would be livid. You've got to be kidding me. We just spent all this time marketing, building up these fights, and you're not going to make it? Are you joking? And nothing against Sonnen. I mean, he's a great talker, but he's not no world. He's definitely not pound for pound ranking by any means. He's a good fighter when he's on come fight night, which is hit or miss. But oh my God, that stinks. Considering you built a whole Ultimate Fighter via Vanderlei Silva, I'm at a loss of words. Vitor Belfort, I think Dana, who doesn't even have hair, is probably pulling out the roots of his hair right now, considering his match with Belfort is also out. So, Sonnen, Belfort, I don't even know who can step up. Hopefully we'll see someone at 205. Fabio Maldonado, unfortunately, probably should have waited. It would have been a good shot for him and Vitor, but I think that would have ended quicker than his fight with Stipe Miocic. But in any case, we're not going to see that fight. Sonnen's probably going to be suspended for a while. Vanderlei Silva is probably not going to be on UFC cards for quite some time. Vitor Belfort, who kind of inadvertently caused some of this, considering he was supposed to fight Chris Weidman, is may or may not be on the card either. So there goes UFC 175. I mean, we still have Leon Machida and Chris Weidman. I'm also taking Machida on that fight. I'm calling it now. But there you go, UFC 175. They need to call it UFC 175 PED bus. or UFC 175, Legend of the Drug Users, or let's see. What else can they name? I don't know. Someone could come up with better things and material than I just did. But in any case, it's unfortunate. I was looking forward to the fight, and I'm sure Sonnen, Vanderlei, and Vitor were all looking forward to it in their own regards. But unfortunately, not happening. We won't be seeing it. So, hopefully you still enjoy UFC 175. We'll have Ronda Rousey, who looks like Chunk. I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever noticed. She's an I mean, that's going to sound weird. She's a good looking, she has a nice body. I mean, she looks good. But she reminds me of Chunk from the Goonies. Ugh, truffle shuffle. It's unfortunate. But in any case, she'll be on UFC 175 as well, and will be looking to continue her stardom and fame into the UFC and be the biggest star. For the record, quick aside. I think the whole Dana White saying that she's the biggest star in the UFC ever. What? Did he forget magically about Brock Lesnar? Are you kidding me? I don't know. This guy who not only raked your biggest, he raked in your biggest PPV sales for, every show he was on. But no, Ronda Rousey's bigger. So we all know where Dana's leaning towards. But in any case, he is a promoter. That's his job. He needs to promote his up-and-coming material. So in any case, we'll let it be. Moving on to some more pro MMA. We had Bellator 121 also during this past weekend. A lot of MMA action. And we had a lot of returns. Probably not, like I said, not the best card by any means on paper. But, you saw a lot of up-and-comers. It was cool as a fan of some of the veterans. It was cool to see Josh Thompson and Sakaju very easily come away with their wins. So good for those guys. We'll definitely be seeing Bellator later on this summer. They're only going to run a couple of shows because they kind of take their season off, which I don't really know how I feel about that. But in any case, they're not going to be around for, they're not going to be on TV for, not for a little while. I believe either, I should do some research on this. I'm an ass. But in any case, we'll see them very soon, and I'll be tuning in. Hopefully you guys will be too. And Bellator, hopefully I'll be able to see them, because for what it's worth, it's still MMA. At the end of the day, I know a lot of people crap on them for putting on shows like that. I mean, on paper, it doesn't look that great. But you know what? These guys need to fight. Places like Bellator need to exist so we can have fighters like Sakaju and Josh Thompson having a place. James Thompson, having a place to return and look good again. So good for those guys. Last but not least, I want to look at 2-on-2 MMA. It's going to take 2 seconds to look at that horrid idea. MMA in New York is already having a huge problem as it is. We don't need something as ridiculous as 2-on-2 MMA making its trip over to the United States, because that is just awful. Awful. Why? Just stop. I hope it doesn't make it out here. Stay away. I think it's an awful idea. We don't need, if you want tag team fights, go, there's street fights and stuff, go watch that, or, not that I condone that, but that exists. Or if you really just want to watch a tag team match, come on, just watch some pro wrestling, I suppose. But in any case, I can't wait to watch some more MMA. There's going to be a lot of good stuff. As always, don't hesitate to leave your comments, concerns. I'm very thankful for you guys tuning in. I love MMA. I know you guys watching love it too. As you know, I usually post up on SureDog and other websites as also MMA Share. Thank you to those guys. Great forum members out there. You guys are awesome. And thank you for tuning in. Definitely check out. There'll be a nice little lovely link with all the Mixer playlists. There's a lot of good stuff we have cooking. Dennis Bermudez, I was promising you guys a UFC interview. Dennis Bermudez, thank you. Came through in the clutch. We'll hopefully have some more lined up. Stay tuned for the Mixer. This was episode 6. Mom, we made it. I'm very happy for episode 7 coming very soon. Enjoy all the fights coming up, guys. And again, I want to give a huge shout out to New York Fight Exchange. Thank you for letting me come to the event. I cannot wait for your return in September. Thank you very much, guys. And that was the Mixer.